We're going to keep going southwards now to the other end of town, to the church of St Hilaire. This was a stop for pilgrims on the way to Compostela, but today we have a wedding. I think that might be Joan of Arc there.
Là où est le doute, que je mette la foi, là où est le désespoir, que je mette l'espérance.
Pour ces nouveaux époux, et pour le bonheur de leur foyer, pour leurs proches et leurs amis, et pour tous ceux qui les ont aidés, prions le Seigneur.
Toi qui es le Dieu amour, fais vivre cet amour dans le cœur d'Émilie et Nicolas. Tu prends ce pain et ce vin, tu les fais, tiens, tu viens en faire ton pain et ton vin. Et le donna à ses disciples en disant, prenez et mangez-en tous. Ceci est mon corps livré. C'est pas digne de te recevoir, mais dis seulement une parole et je serai guéri.
Now this isn't a fortified gatehouse for a castle or something, it's the water tower for Poitiers, 19th century I think. Quite a good disguise, don't you think? Passing one of Poitiers' parks, we're now heading towards the eastern end of the old town. I didn't realise it at the time, but I now believe that this is the Baptistry of Saint-Jean, and is probably one of the oldest Christian buildings in France, about 4th century I think. A glimpse there of the cathedral, we'll see more of that later. But firstly we're going to go down this street that we're now on, and behind us is the church of Ste Radegonde. I have to admit that I'd never heard of this lady before. There's a glimpse back at the cathedral, and there is the church we're going to look at now. Built at the end of the 6th century to house the remains of that saint, though some parts have been rebuilt since. Radegonde was born in 531, the daughter of the King of Thuringia, now part of southeast Germany. She was captured by the Merovingian king Clotaire I, son of Clovis, during a raid on Thuringia. Radegonde was brought up in the court of Clotaire, and he eventually, shall we say, persuaded her to marry him. She was pious, humble, and virtuous, and tended the poor and the sick. She eventually secured her release from Clotaire and became a nun. It is said that Radegonde performed numerous miracles, and that Christ appeared to her a year before her death in 587. Her resting place became a site of pilgrimage. And so to the cathedral, which is just a short step away, as you know, the Cathedral of St. Pierre. I think that might be Joan of Arc there. The cathedral stands over the ruins of a Roman basilica. Construction began in 1162 under the direction of Henry II and his wife Eleanor of Aquitaine. Throughout the reigns of their sons, Richard I and John, and then throughout the reigns of Henry III, Edward I and Edward II, the confrontations between the English and French thrones dragged on. Now I'm breaking off here, but just look here, our national saint, St. George, revered in France. When Edward III declared in about 1337 that he actually had a more legitimate claim to the crown of France than did Philip VI, matters came to a head. English armies invaded France and the 100 Years' War began. Things went badly for France, Crécy, etc., and by about 1422 France had almost ceased to exist as a nation. An English regent, the Duke of Bedford, governed in Paris. In 1429, a young girl arrived at the Château of Chinon to see the Dauphin. And the rest is history. Now, I understand that this 18th century Clicquot organ is quite powerful, but unfortunately it wasn't playing today.